Minister, you said earlier that the new take-back mechanism would be better, that it wasn't open to other countries to frustrate it. In 2023, your department issued 188 transfer decisions. That means 188 cases where another country said, yes, we're responsible for processing this person, and yes, we'll take them back. Of the 188, you transferred 3. Can you explain that?
I suppose this just shows the inefficiency of the Dublin 3 system.
No, but it shows the inefficiency of your department. Another country said they'd take them back and accepted they would take them back and had responsibility. Your department is transferred to 3. Where's the problem?
No, we can only issue a take-back request. So it is then for those
no, but a decision,
the
other country accepted responsibility, accepted they would take them back, a decision was made to transfer them, and you transferred 3 of those 188. Where's the problem?
Again, it's my understanding that it was not within, and again, without having seen the details of them, but if it's not within the time frame, even if there's a...
Yeah, but why did you run out of time? You have 6 months.
If the other country frustrates
No, they didn't frustrate it. They accepted they were taking them back. So what's the problem in your department in implementing this Dublin 3 regulation? So
if you can show me that they were accepted within the 6-month time frame...
Oh, they were?
If you can show that
maybe
to me. So again,
but you can't issue a transfer decision without another country accepting responsibility. So that was done. I just want to move on. You say it doesn't work generally. The previous year, now Senator Ward suggested that, and I would have assumed the same thing, that Ireland would be a beneficiary of that we would send back more people than we would accept. But in 2022, we took back 15 and we transferred 2 people. The same year, Germany transferred 4,158 people. Now, we transferred 2. I accept Germany's a bigger country, not that much bigger. France transferred 3,311. Can you explain the massive discrepancy between the ability of the German and French Departments of Justice to implement their immigration policy over our ability to implement ours? It's the same system. How come they're able to operate it and we're not?
I can't.
So what's going to change with new rules? If we can't operate the existing rules, how are we going to operate new rules any better?
So I can't speak for other countries, and I suppose I don't know the overall figures that they would have received. So obviously as a much larger country with a much greater influx of
but it's not 2,000 times bigger.
People seeking protection, you obviously have a much greater number of people that they may be able to return. One of the biggest challenges that we have faced is getting the acceptance within the 6-month time period.
Yeah, no, but as I said, last year 188 acceptances and 3 were transferred. I just want to move on.
You did have a situation last year where Greece and Italy stopped accepting some of the returns.
No, but these were people who were accepted, and you managed to transfer 3.
Take them after that
you managed to transfer 3. With regard, you said that we're not going to opt into the returns procedure because we're out of Schengen. Would you accept, Minister? At the moment, we have you apply at first instance, you have a right of appeal to IPAT, and after that then you apply for permission to remain if you're unsuccessful up to that point. And that's where the delays are. How many people who have been unsuccessful in the asylum system, i.e. been refused at first instance or appeal, and have made an application for permission to remain to you? How many are outstanding as we speak?
I don't have that figure to hand, but I can...
Minister, I asked for that figure 2 months ago. You said you'd give it to me when you had it to hand. You still don't have it to hand. Do you have any handle on immigration in Ireland? Does your department have a handle? Not you, I mean, not you personally. Does your department have any handle on what's happening in immigration in Ireland?
I actually think my department has done outstanding work in the last
I've asked for very basic figures on how many, these are applications to you as Minister for Justice.
Perhaps I might, there's a number of items that will be raised today in the course of the deliberation, and I'll invite the Minister to circulate those items to the committee afterwards. So that figure that you've asked for, considering that you say you've asked for it 2 months ago,
yeah.
If that's the case, it seems reasonable we would have it now.
It does.
So I think perhaps the Minister can include that in some of the items that we're looking for the next couple of
days. But
days.
it would also, what I also asked for was month on month, because it's important to see if there's a trend. I mean, is the backlog getting bigger and bigger and bigger? Because that's what I hear at the forecourts, but it's just anecdotal unless the Minister gives the figures. Only she and her department have the figures, but they're not giving them, which makes me a little bit suspicious.
So we'll note that as a request to the Minister.
Thank you very much for that. Minister, because up to now, the IPO and the IPAT, I mean, they are doing reasonably well. I mean, they're struggling, but they're keeping pace with applications. It seems that it is the Department of Justice directly is not keeping pace with applications for permission to remain. And that, if I'm not mistaken, because we're not going to opt into the returns directive, will still be the case after this migration pact comes into being, we will still have to have our own returns procedure because we're not in Schengen, and there will be a permission to remain. So what's going to change?
As I had outlined in one of the earlier questions, while we won't and can't opt into the return border procedure because we're not part of Schengen, the intention is that we would still apply the 12-week rule in terms of the returns procedure, but that would be for us to develop through legislation.
So applications that are now taking 2 to 3 years to process will be processed in 12 weeks. I find that difficult to accept.